Sam's family had raised me for years, and for years, I'd been his most devoted simp. Even when I scored first place in the entrance exams, I turned down the city's top high school's offer, just to follow Sam into an elite private school filled with powerful families. Everyone bet on when I'd finally simp my way to the top. Then, one day, a proud transfer student appeared and stole all of Sam's attention. I felt relieved. 2 months until the college entrance exams, Sam was bound to study abroad, while I planned to stay in the country. Chapter 1. It was a scorching summer noon, the blazing sun burning the ground. I carried a lunchbox and crossed the teaching building to find Sam, but he was nowhere to be seen. A boy whistled at me. "Hey, top student, what's on the menu today? Mind giving us a peek?" Another laughed. "Come on, man, that's a love lunch under the hot sun. You think you're worthy? Ha ha ha." Their laughter filled the hallway, the mockery in their voices undisguised. A girl tried to be kind and whispered to me, "Didn't Sam tell you? He went out to eat with the new girl, Julia. Maybe you should go back." I smiled at her, then quietly found a chair and sat down. Sam had said a few days ago that he was craving sushi. He'd come back eventually. I'd just wait. The boys' teasing voices drifted from behind. So what if he didn't tell her? If Sam says one word, would Celine ever dare say no? Bringing him lunch is nothing. Remember when she gave up the city's top school just for him? Now that was headline news. You think she'll simp her way into his heart? She's pretty and obedient. I'll give her that. I bet the top students got no chance. Ever since Julia showed up, Sam's eyes have been glued to her. Can you blame him? Julia's mom runs a fried rice stall by the school gate. Sam's been eating there every day to chase her. Bet Celine doesn't even know that. Poor girl, but hey, that's the price you pay for being a simp. My earphones finished playing an English listening track. I froze for a moment. So Sam went out to eat fried rice? But he's always been picky. He said 100 times he hates greasy food. Did he change his taste? As I wondered, the classroom suddenly fell silent. Sam and Julia had returned. I lifted my gaze. Julia walked beside Sam, her curved eyes shimmering like stars. White dress, black hair, pure as a gardenia after the rain. No wonder Sam liked her. I smiled at her, then turned to Sam. I made the sushi you wanted. Want to try some? Julia's smile vanished instantly. She pressed her lips together. Sam, if you have other things to do, you don't have to waste time on me. Ah, a high and mighty flower. Julia walked straight out of the classroom. Annoyance flickered in Sam's delicate eyes. He looked down at me. Why are you here? Who told you to come? The boys jeered. Come on, Sam. If you don't want it, let us try it. We love sushi. Sam paused, his tone lazy. Whatever. Anyone who wants it can have it. I gripped the lunchbox tightly, humiliated. You said you wanted sushi, so I learned to make it. It's your favorite, tuna. I spent all night on it. He frowned. Celine, don't you have anything better to do? I stared at him wide-eyed. How could I not? I'd done 2 sets of English mock tests, memorized half a book, and reviewed my mistakes. Then I spent 5 minutes ordering tuna sushi from delivery, repacked it, and even drew a ketchup heart on top. Honestly, I'd been quite busy. Sam rubbed his temples impatiently, pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then took the lunchbox from me and tossed it to the boys. Fine, consider it bought. Always acting like you're about to cry. Who are you trying to fool? From my earphones came the Alipay notification sound. You've received 100,000 yuan. I pinched my thigh hard to stop myself from crying, then ran out of the classroom with red eyes. Behind me, Sam's cold voice echoed. Celine, stop bothering me so much. I don't want Julia to misunderstand. Chapter 2. Sam didn't like me, because I was the little spy his parents had planted beside him. Every time something happened, no matter how small, it would reach his parents' ears within seconds. Honestly, I couldn't blame him for hating me. His parents each ran their own business empires, bound together by a marriage of convenience, purely for profit, yet unbreakable. And so, when it came to their only son's emotional life, they fought like enemies on a battlefield. If the nanny came from Sam's father's side of the family, then the driver had to be one of his mother's loyal servants. Neither side would give in, yet neither parent spared even a little time to accompany Sam. They could throw money at him, but their love was always spent elsewhere. When I was 7, I went with my mother and stepfather to visit Sam's family. My mother had remarried when I was still very young. My stepfather owned a mid-sized company, and he'd worked hard to pull strings to get this meeting with the powerful Sam family. He took it very seriously. That morning, my mother changed her dress several times before they left the house. While the adults talked business in the sitting room, I wandered into the garden and met 7-year-old Sam. By the time the meeting ended, the adults came out to find the two of us squatting in a corner, digging in the dirt with muddy hands, grinning from ear to ear. That night, after we went home, my stepfather lifted me high into the air and even spoke gently to my mother for once. I looked at her smiling face, and something deep inside me understood. Not long after, I was transferred to Sam's school. We were both young and innocent then, and for a time, our childhood was genuinely happy. I kept a diary, writing in it every day. At first, Sam thought I just liked journaling. He even sweetly bought me piles of pretty notebooks. Until, one day, his mother found out about all the trouble he'd caused at school, and punished him several times. That's when he finally realized the truth. He came to me, furious, teeth clenched. "It was you, Celine. I treated you so well, and you sold me out." Yes, it was me, but it wasn't really betrayal. I just needed to prove my worth in his house. Otherwise, I'd lose the right to stay by his side. Over the years, my mother's marriage had started to crumble, and as I grew older, my stepfather's gaze became stickier, more disgusting. I hated that look. His business depended on the Sam family. As long as I stayed near Sam, he didn't dare act openly, so I understood. Very early on, Sam was my umbrella. Until my own wings grew strong enough, I had to stay under that protection. So, with tears in my eyes, I apologized softly. "I'm sorry, Sam. Your mom pays my tuition." I was afraid she'd get angry. If she did, I wouldn't be able to go to school with you anymore. Sam froze, caught off guard. He stayed silent. But from then on, his attitude toward me changed. He wasn't as close as before, but he didn't push me away either. Later, whenever I tried to get near him again, he'd simply transfer money to me. "Celine, now that you've taken the money, you know what to say and what not to say, right?" This time, I was the one stunned. My heart pounded wildly, as if it might burst out of my chest. At that moment, I knew my umbrella was secure, and it had even unlocked a rare, gold-dropping feature. Chapter 3, My relationship with Sam, in a way, reached a strange kind of harmony. I kept following him, pleasing him, never going against his word. If he said go east, I would never dare go west. And thanks to his money power, I also learned to report my progress at the right times. We stayed out of each other's way, and our cooperation went smoothly. During the entrance exams, I ranked first in the entire city, but instead of accepting the repeated invitations from the top public high school, I volunteered to attend the same private school as Sam. His parents were delighted. They immediately promised to cover all my expenses and maintain long-term cooperation with my stepfather. Only Sam was furious. "Celine, are you out of your mind? You scored that high just to waste it? I'm going to mess around for a few years before taking over the family business. What about you? What's your plan?" I smiled at him, my eyes curved. "Didn't you hear? My family and I already got our benefits." His gaze turned cold. Then he let go of my wrist. "Celine, all you see is money." The high school for the elite was not an easy place to survive. With his background and looks, Sam quickly became a campus celebrity, and naturally, that also earned him plenty of enemies. One time, when Sam wasn't around, a group of senior boys cornered me behind the sports field. "So you're Sam's girl? Not bad looking. I heard you're also a top student. But sweetheart, that guy doesn't seem to care about you. Why not come with me instead? I'll treat you better than he ever does." He grabbed my chin. I clenched my teeth. People passing by pretended not to see a thing. Bullying was so common here. No one cared. When he leaned down to kiss me, I suddenly raised my knee and slammed it between his legs, hard. The incident caused quite a stir. He swore he'd make me pay for it. But a few days later, he and his friends stood in front of the whole school, apologizing to me. Trembling, the boy who'd harassed me was covered in bruises. Barely recognizable. Sam had always been bold, but this time he'd gone all out. As a gesture of thanks, I offered to delete a few of his crimes from my little notebook. He stared at me in disbelief, eyes wide, then snatched the notebook and threw it back at me. Celine, do you even have a conscience? I was confused. I'd been dragged into his mess, collateral damage. Really, he cleaned it up, as he should have. Of course, I couldn't say that out loud. So instead, I softened my voice and said sweetly, "Thank you, Sam. How about I treat you to dinner?" Sam shuddered visibly, goosebumps all over. He shook off my hand and bolted. The sunset burned gold. His tall figure stretched longer and longer, slowly melting into the crimson clouds, glowing faintly, like something unreachable. At that moment, I thought, Sam might have a sharp tongue and a bad temper. He mocked me, ordered me around, and rarely showed kindness. But for years, he'd still been my umbrella, and a generous one at that. The private school's teachers couldn't compare to the top public ones. But with Sam's money, I could afford the best private tutors. Knowledge filled my mind, and my grades soared. In the end, it was Sam who nurtured me, quietly giving me wings I didn't know I had. So I decided I would be even better to him. Chapter 4. In our senior year of high school, trouble struck Sam's family. His father's mistress showed up at their doorstep. For years, both his parents had been living their own lives, and Sam was well aware of it. But they had an unspoken agreement. None of their romantic scandals were ever to reach Sam's ears. Yet that day, a young, beautiful woman stood crying in their garden. She couldn't have been much older than Sam, barely a college freshman, but her belly had already begun to swell. Sam's father refused to see her. His mother stayed calm and named 2 prices. The girl wiped her tears, got into the father's assistant's car, and left. It happened during the school's short monthly break. Sam stood at the villa gate and watched it all unfold. Then he turned around and walked away. That night, I watched as Sam, usually so composed, opened bottle after bottle of wine. I didn't stop him. Instead, I picked up a bottle and clinked it against his. Under the neon lights, the haze in his refined eyes shimmered softly, and his striking face seemed almost dazzling in that moment. He muttered, "Celine, if you drink with me tonight, will you tell on me tomorrow?" I shook my head. No. He made a faint sound, "Oh," and opened another bottle. "So, you want money then?" I froze for a moment. Then, suddenly, he tossed the bottle aside and pulled me into his arms. Before I could react, his lips crashed down on mine. My mind went blank with a roar. The alcohol burned between us, and all the feelings I had buried deep inside broke free. Wild, uncontrollable. I closed my eyes until his hand slid under my shirt, climbing higher, and my body went cold. I pushed him away on instinct. He froze. A small drop of blood stained the corner of his lips. In the dim light of the private room, his eyes were unreadable. "Celine, you've been clinging to me all this time. Weren't you just waiting for this moment?" The next morning, when he sobered up, I brought him breakfast as usual. Sam looked uncomfortable. He lowered his eyes and mentioned the night before. "Celine, last night I cut him off softly. It's fine. You were drunk." He looked up at me, startled. Then, after a pause, his voice deepened. "Right, I was drunk. Not long after, Julia transferred to our school. It was the last semester of senior year. Private schools often spent money to attract top students before exam season. To boost their results, Julia's arrival immediately caught the boys' attention. She had a delicate, fragile face, but a proud, untouchable spirit. When someone placed roses on her desk, she tossed them into the trash. "You pay to study here. I'm here to earn money. We're not the same, so don't waste your time." Such a breathtaking high and mighty flower naturally caught Sam's eye. He worked hard to win her over. Beside the fried rice stall run by Julia's mother at the school gate, Sam, who had never stepped into a kitchen, was carefully trying to crack an egg into a bowl. Clumsy as he was, he nearly tipped the bowl over. Julia quickly steadied it, scolding him playfully. Sam smiled sheepishly, embarrassed. Under the dim yellow streetlight, the scene looked almost tender. I walked toward them. Julia's expression tensed immediately. I found it strange. She always looked defensive when she saw me. Even though we had barely spoken a few words, the only connection between us was that in every mock exam, I had ranked slightly above her. I looked at Sam. It's getting late. Auntie asked when you're coming home. He frowned. You can see I'm busy. I can't go yet. Julia smiled politely. You should go ahead. My mom and I are closing up soon. I'll help you. It's fine. You should go home before your family worries. I watched the two of them quietly. Then, unable to hold back, I said dryly, "Stop arguing. The city inspectors are coming." Chapter 5. The city inspector's sudden raid left both Sam and Julia looking rather miserable. Sam had never faced such a scene before. He lowered his pride, spoke softly for a long time, and only after paying a hefty fine were they finally allowed to leave. He even stayed behind to help Julia and her mother pack up their fried rice stall. I waited in his family's business car. By the time Sam got in, I had already finished an online lecture. The car was silent. Sam leaned back, exhausted, eyes half closed. He didn't speak, so I didn't either. I simply opened another online class. After that night, I didn't see Sam or Julia for half a month. Not because I was angry, but because I was busy. Our school had one guaranteed admission spot to a top university. It would be determined by a special exam and overall academic performance. So I spent every waking moment studying for it. Sam came looking for me once. He asked why I hadn't been bringing him breakfast lately. I hesitated, then replied, "Would Julia like that?" The chat window showed typing for a long time, but no reply ever came. During that time, Sam and Julia's relationship progressed rapidly. He took her to an amusement park. Some excited classmates even brought me screenshots from Julia's social media to show off. In those photos, Julia smiled shyly, sweetly, nothing like the proud girl who had once thrown away roses. I understood. After all, in this world, money can solve almost everything, and if something can't be solved with money, a little love added to the mix usually does the trick. I even felt relieved. If Julia was lost in her romance, then that guaranteed admission spot would surely be mine. When the results of the special exam came out, I was first again, and Julia second. Just like in every previous mock test, the homeroom teacher, beaming, told me to prepare my admission documents. I was in a great mood. On my way to the office, I ran into Sam and Julia, and even smiled at them. Sam's expression didn't change, but Julia's face went pale. Yet when I turned in my papers and waited, the notification never came. A week passed, still nothing. Unable to wait any longer, I went to the office and bumped straight into Julia coming out. She stopped me, looking for news about the guaranteed spot. I didn't answer. She blinked at me, smiling faintly. "If so, you might as well go home." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She smiled sweetly and said softly, "I just signed the guarantee agreement, so you don't have to waste your time." My expression turned cold. "You? On what basis? Because you're ranked second?" Her face changed. "Celine, what are you so proud of? A few first-place rankings?" "As far as I know, Sam's family paid your tuition, didn't they? He spent plenty of money on you, right? You have no name, no status, you don't even belong here. That spot was never meant to be yours." Her voice trembled, eyes dark with resentment. I almost laughed. "So, you're saying you do have status now? Congratulations." Then, her lips curled upward ever so slightly. I continued, my tone calm but sharp. "But if Sam gave you that guaranteed spot, doesn't that mean he isn't planning to take you with him when he studies abroad?" Her smile froze. I turned to leave, even if it changed nothing. I refused to swallow this humiliation in silence. Chapter 6. Sam was rarely in class that day. He was lying on his desk, asleep. I stopped in front of him. "Sam." He rubbed his sleepy eyes. looked up, and smiled faintly. Celine? I got straight to the point. Why? He blinked. Why did you give the guaranteed admission spot to Julia? You came here just for that? He paused for a second, his tone as indifferent as ever. It's just a spot. Julia wanted it, so I gave it to her. You knew she didn't meet the requirements. The agreement clearly stated. So what? He chuckled softly. Julia agreed to date me as her boyfriend. Shouldn't I show some sincerity? Besides, she's not after my money. I looked at him quietly, and in that moment, the heavy stone that had been pressing on my heart for so long finally dropped. My chest felt suddenly light, free. I said calmly, then let's consider that spot my gift for your relationship. Celine. He stepped closer, voice sharp. Funny, I didn't realize you wanted that spot so badly. I met his gaze. He stared back for a long time before finally looking away. Then he took out his phone, tapped a few times, and sighed. Forget it. I've sent you compensation. Celine. It's just a spot. You know, I can still take you. Once I confirmed that the transfer note read voluntary gift. I interrupted him softly. It's fine. I can still take the entrance exam. His face stiffened. I turned and left. The cicadas screamed in the summer heat. Less than a month remained before the college exams. I poured myself entirely into studying. Sam and Julia, meanwhile, made their relationship official, loudly and publicly, with Julia's guaranteed admission as her safety net. She indulged fully in her romance. Luxury restaurants, expensive gifts, private beaches. Sam no longer had to crack eggs at a night stall. Instead, Julia stepped, bright-eyed and excited, into Sam's glittering world. When the exam results were released, though we could check them online, many students still came to school to see the scores together. Sam and Julia even took the early flight back. I had no idea why they went to such lengths. When the results came out, Julia burst into tears. Her score was terrible, 70 or 80 points lower than her mock exams from when she first transferred. No one was surprised. Everyone had seen how little she'd studied in the last month. The teacher checking the results simply shook his head, too disappointed to offer a word of comfort. Julia cried harder, tears rolling one after another. Sam tried to calm her down, but it didn't help. Finally, he ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. Enough. You've got the guaranteed spot, don't you? Right. Without that guaranteed spot, she wouldn't even be close to qualifying for that university. Julia sobbed louder. I had no interest in watching the drama. I packed my bag and prepared to leave. Then Sam called out, Celine. I stopped and turned back. He cleared his throat, pretending to sound casual. You worked hard at the end there. How many points did you get? I smiled. Don't know yet. You haven't checked? He asked, confused. Julia's sobbing began to fade. Sam held out his hand. Give me your exam card. I'll check for you. I didn't move. The teacher at the computer smiled and explained. Celine's score is blocked. She's a screen student. It's temporarily unavailable. The heat of midsummer seemed to fade all at once. Silence filled the air. Sam froze slightly. Julia stopped crying and sharply lifted her head to look at me. Chapter 7. After the college entrance exams, most of my classmates began their graduation trips. Some went skiing in Hokkaido. Some chased the aurora. Others were sunbathing at the Gold Coast. Everyone was freely enjoying their youth and beauty. Julia's once busy social media suddenly went silent. At a small gathering, a girl mentioned it. Probably crying at home every day. She did terribly on the exam. Didn't she? Even the school was stunned. They had spent a fortune recruiting her as a star student, expecting at least a shot at one of the C9 universities. What a pity, money wasted this year. If we'd known, we should have given that reward to Celine instead. I smiled. She already enjoyed her reward in advance. Didn't she? When it was time to fill out college applications, my stepfather came to see me. In the past 3 years, thanks to his connection with Sam's family, his business had flourished, and he now carried himself like a man of influence. He praised me for being outstanding, then said in a low tone, "Your mother wants to talk to you." I turned to look at her. My mother had also been doing quite well. in her early 40s. She had even given my stepfather a son. She smiled gently at me but began by talking about Sam's family. They've arranged for Sam to study in North America, one of the best universities. I heard. Our families have maintained such a good relationship these past few years. Would you like to study in North America too? I tilted my head, silently watching her. She continued softly. I heard that boy dated someone in high school, a girl without much family background. But boys will be boys. It's just a youthful fling. Besides, they're not from the same world. Nothing lasting will come of it. Our Celine, on the other hand, has been close to him since childhood. If you study abroad together, you can take care of each other. I finally laughed out loud. Both my stepfather and mother froze. I had always been obedient and gentle before them, though it was an act. But now, I no longer needed to pretend. I exclaimed in mock surprise. Oh, so now our family is worthy of theirs? My stepfather's face darkened immediately. I smiled again. Dad, Mom, I've already decided to study here at home. Oh, and by the way, this afternoon I have a valedictorian interview. Some education officials and reporters from the TV station should be on their way. They'll probably want to interview the parents too. But don't worry, just say whatever comes to mind. My score had already been released. I did well, better than expected. Even beyond my mock exams, I was the top scorer in the entire city. The school had never produced such results before. The administrators and shareholders couldn't stop smiling. They even handed me a generous bonus. Right there on camera. By late July, I received my acceptance letter from my dream university. Everything was going smoothly. I went on a short trip with friends. And when I returned, I was preparing to pack for military training when Julia and Sam came to find me. Julia came first, crying at my door. Sam's going to study in North America. Did you know? He refuses to take me with him. I was surprised. Don't you already have your guaranteed admission? She choked. I don't want that. I want to go abroad with him. My irritation flared. Then why did you steal my spot back then? She said nothing. Tears streamed down her face, one after another like a broken string of pearls. Her crying grated on my nerves. So what do you want from me now? I asked bluntly. She only sobbed harder. A thought flashed through my mind, and I hesitated. Don't tell me, you came to borrow money to chase him to North America? For the record, I added dryly, I don't have any. She froze, then burst into tears again and ran off. Chapter 8. A few days later, Sam came to see me again. His eyes were lowered, his tone uncharacteristically calm. He asked how my college applications were going. I didn't plan to hide it from him. Good, I said. He nodded slightly. That spot, it was my fault, but I'm glad it didn't affect you. I couldn't help finding it strange. The ever-arrogant Sam was actually admitting a mistake. And with such a gentle tone. Then he started rambling about studying abroad. He complained about the weather there, how he couldn't get used to Western food, and how he disliked the school and major his parents had chosen for him. I listened quietly, thinking he was just being melodramatic. Finally, I couldn't hold it in. Your parents will arrange everything. You don't need to worry. He fell silent for a moment, then suddenly brought up Julia. I broke up with Julia. She asked for your guaranteed admission spot back then, and now she's asking me to take her abroad. She cried and accused me, said if I could pay for your international tuition. Why couldn't I take her overseas? Said I never truly loved her. I recalled the day Julia came to me crying, so she hadn't come to borrow money, she'd come to consult me. I raised an eyebrow. Well, that works out, doesn't it? You can take Julia with you, she'll take good care of you. His eyes suddenly turned red. What about you, Celine? Will you come with me? Just like during the high school entrance exams, I'll pay your tuition. We can. In his eyes, there was a flicker of hope, even hurt. Back during those exams, he'd scolded me for throwing away my future. Now, things were completely reversed. So I asked softly, do your parents know about these words you're saying? He looked at me, confused. A few days later, his parents found out that Sam had come to see me. His mother personally invited me over. Sam's been acting out again, she said with a faint smile. Don't take it to heart. His father already talked to him. You got into one of the best universities. Top program. Limitless future. You shouldn't waste it by following him abroad. I smiled politely. Auntie and uncle have always been kind to me. She patted my hand. We saw your interview, the way you thanked our family multiple times. You're a good child. Celine. Sam's been lucky to have you by his side all these years. We should be the ones thanking you. If you need anything at university, anything at all, just tell me. All right? I nodded obediently. In that televised interview, I had indeed thanked Sam's family several times. Tears in my eyes. Sure enough, the next day, the news exploded. Sam Corporation sponsors top scorer, dedicated to supporting national talent. The interview video was replayed on the giant LED screens outside their business buildings. The headlines were everywhere. Public praise overflowed. Their family held shares in multiple major media outlets. For true elites like them, knowing how to seize the moment and maximize benefit was second nature, compared to the glory of boosting their corporate image. Losing an insignificant childhood companion meant nothing. I finally felt a quiet relief. This round, I had won. If I had followed Sam abroad, then, a few years later, he would inevitably enter a marriage alliance with another powerful family, and whatever I could have gotten would depend solely on whether I was useful or pitiful enough to keep around. But now, things were different. I had tied my name, however lightly, to the great vessel that was the Sam family, and for me, that was more than enough. Chapter 9. Sam was sent off to North America, and I entered university smoothly. I met many brilliant new classmates, took courses from renowned professors, and earned several impressive awards. Every day felt full and purposeful. In my sophomore year, I fell in love. He was a bright, sunny boy. Luis was the star player on the school's basketball team. Every shot he made brought cheers loud enough to shake the roof of the gymnasium. One night, under the moonlight, he nervously confessed his feelings to me. In that moment, I suddenly thought of Sam. That same sharp, dazzling face. That same youthful arrogance. It wasn't that I saw Luis as a substitute. I just thought, at the most radiant age of my life, I should reward myself for once. No family, no background, no future plans involved. Just a light, beautiful, and free limited time experience. So I accepted Luis's rose. In the third month of our relationship, Luis and I ran into a wandering street artist. He insisted on sketching us together, spending over an hour on a handmade portrait. I couldn't resist sharing it on social media. It drew endless comments and blessings. Only Sam replied with a single question mark. After thinking for a while, I sent him back a smiling emoji. It felt appropriate, since he hadn't said a word. I wasn't being impolite. He could see the comments anyway. Whatever he thought of them wasn't my concern. But the next evening, as my roommates and I returned from dinner, I saw an unexpected figure standing downstairs. Sam. He was leaning against the wall in a black t-shirt, looking travel-worn, yet still striking. When he saw me, he lifted his hand. Celine. My roommates exchanged teasing looks and went upstairs. Sam and I walked side by side along the artificial lake. I asked, "Are you on vacation?" He shook his head. I was surprised. But then I remembered he hadn't been back for 2 years. Last New Year's Eve, it was his parents who flew to North America to celebrate with him. He turned toward me. Celine. I came back just to see you. Last night I saw your post and couldn't sleep. I caught a flight overnight. When I got to your school, I didn't even dare go in. I had to ask around just to find your dorm. The sunset burned bright behind him, its reflection flickering like stars in his eyes. He looked at me intently. Celine. Who is he? I lowered my gaze. My boyfriend. He pressed his lips together tightly. Then after a long silence, he finally asked, What kind of person is he? Does he treat you well? He's a year above me, I said softly. And yes, he treats me very well. Sam said nothing for a long time, so long that I thought about heading back. Then he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Celine. Why? The sun had already set. Darkness covered the sky. When I looked at him again, I could faintly see tears glimmering in his eyes. His voice trembled. If he can, why can't it be me? I know I've always treated you terribly. But 2 years ago, I wanted to tell you. I'd change. I'd treat you well. I've never liked anyone else. I was with Julia to make you jealous. You were always by my side. But your heart was never fully there. I took your guaranteed admission, because I wanted to force you to study abroad with me. Celine. I really like you. Chapter 10. He reached out and pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly. His whole body trembled against my shoulder. A warm drop slid down my neck. He was crying. I sighed softly and asked, "And then?" He froze. I repeated, gently but firmly, "Then what? Sam?" His red eyes flickered with hesitation. He opened his mouth but said nothing. It could have been him, because he was handsome, kind, good at basketball, easy to like. It could have been for any reason, but why couldn't it be him? Because, I said quietly. Because you're Sam. Sam shook his head weakly. His eyes filled with a storm of emotions. Regret, guilt, pain, and finally, resignation. But he couldn't speak another word. 2 years had passed. He'd grown up faster, rougher, harder than I had, flying halfway across the world on a wave of passion. Crossing oceans just to see me was only his way of putting a final period on more than a decade of unspoken attachment. He had sacrificed his childhood friend. The rest of his path would be bright and unburdened. My voice was nearly carried away by the night wind. Sam, go back. Go back to your world, just like Uncle and Aunt. Sam closed his eyes. I'm sorry, Celine. When the evening deepened into darkness, he boarded his flight back to North America. Before sleeping, I scrolled through social media. Unexpectedly, I saw Sam's new post. The bright moon hangs high, lighting my solitary path. Attached was a photo taken from several thousand meters above the ground. I looked up toward my own window. Outside, the sky was empty. No stars, no moon, only quiet darkness. Several classmates left comments beneath his post. I didn't read them. After all, reading people had always been my strength. My mother, my stepfather, Sam's family, my privileged classmates. I'd always known how to play my part, how to please, how to survive, how to blend in, except for a few boys in high school, who found joy in mocking me. I'd always gotten along with everyone. I had understood Sam's feelings long ago. Of course, I didn't deny that he had been kind to me once, like how he'd saved the best snacks for me as a child, or how, even when scolding me during exams, his harsh words hid a trace of concern, or how in high school, he forced those spoiled rich boys to apologize to me in front of the whole school. But those notebooks of mine, filled line by line over the years, didn't just record his arrogance. They also contained all my caution, my restraint, and the countless times I'd swallowed my pride, even if I'd managed to read the signs of his affection. So what? I always stayed sober. I would never gamble my future for love, nor try to taste sweetness hidden in shards of glass. Everything I said tonight was for Sam to hear. Every word had been crafted just for him. My mind was calm as I fell asleep, and that night, I slept peacefully, more deeply than I had in years. I thought, when it came to Sam, I had handled everything in the most perfect way possible. Chapter 11. In my senior year of college, I received a full scholarship to pursue my master's degree in Germany. And, naturally, I broke up with Luis. He had graduated a year earlier and already started working. After subtly inquiring about my family background, he said to me, "Celine, we're perfectly matched. Once you graduate, we can get married, have a few children, and enjoy a peaceful life together." Oh, his family ran a mid-sized company, roughly on par with my stepfather's. He even planned it all out for me. "Your little brother's still young, but I'm an only child. My parents will do everything they can to support our small family." I didn't argue. I simply turned around and submitted my application for the scholarship to Germany. To be fair, competition for that scholarship was fierce. The fact that I got it, well, I owed a little to the Sam family's influence. My GPA was perfect, and my advisor's recommendation was glowing, but it still wasn't enough to guarantee success. So I called Auntie. Even a fledgling spreading her wings must learn the art of measured vulnerability to achieve her goal and to reassure powerful allies, ensuring the path ahead is long and steady. 3 years later, I returned home with perfect timing and all the right connections. My career took off like bamboo after the rain, rapid, steady, unstoppable. The first person to find me was my stepfather. Unlike the time after my college entrance exam, this time he didn't even bother with polite compliments. Leaning back in his chair, eyes half closed, he said, "Celine, you must be 26 or 27 now, right? I hear the Sam family is considering alliances with other powerful families. You're not my biological daughter, but you've called me dad for over 10 years. As your father, I've already found you a good match. You should meet him soon. Don't make your mother worry. Your brother's almost in middle school now." Sam had dated many women over the years. My stepfather had met his family several times, but Sam himself never knew. That's probably where this profitable idea came from. I asked my mother what she thought. She avoided my eyes. "Girls getting married at your age is perfectly natural. You can put your work aside for now. With your father around and your brother growing up, you won't have to worry. The family he chose for you is good. I've met them myself." I chuckled twice and said nothing. It seemed the years had only aged them, not enlightened them. No wonder. Despite the Sam family's protection, they had never improved. A few days later, I attended a charity event for the protection of young girls. On stage, I donated a generous sum, with tears in my eyes. I said before the cameras, "The shadows of childhood are lifelong chains, and the danger often comes from the people closest to us. Protecting girls from harm must begin with preventing abuse by those they trust most." Soon after, my stepfather's business began to collapse. One scandal after another. First came financial trouble, then reports of his personal misconduct. Even I was surprised. He'd spent decades in the business world and achieved little, yet somehow managed to leave behind a mountain of evidence of his corruption. Within 3 months, everything he'd built crumbled like a house of cards. The higher the tower, the louder the fall. His partners all cut ties, but business still had to go on, so I took over every contract he left behind. Effortless. Everything flowed naturally, and with that, my career climbed yet another rung higher. 2 years later, my collaborations were flourishing. I had fully secured my place in the industry. At 28, Sam finally got engaged to the perfect match. Auntie sent me the wedding invitation herself. "Celine grew up with Sam," she wrote. "You're like half a daughter to me. Such joyous news ought to be shared with you." At that moment, I was in New York, ringing the NASDAQ opening bell. Naturally, I smiled and sent my congratulations. The Times Square screens lit up, a sea of radiant lights. That night, I soaked in a rose-scented bath, relaxed and untroubled. Looking back, I realized the first 28 years of my life, those cautious, deliberate steps across thin ice, had all been leading here. Now, the curtain of my life had finally risen, and from here on out, the days ahead would be like the great rock soaring with the wind, rising 90,000 li into the sky.